Hi, morning everybody. I'm Tarun. I'm co-founder of Ather, and I'm here, as you said, to talk about the future of vehicles and something very special we have been working on at Ather, the S340. Now, why am I here instead of an auto expo or an auto show? Because vehicles are undergoing a transition on the back of an inevitable change and connectivity. Vehicles are undergoing a dramatic transition on the back of an inevitable change and connectivity. And that sort of a transition deserves this sort of a different setting. Now, one fundamental truth in automobiles over the last few centuries has been the need for a fuel source. That fuel source has kept on evolving from probably humans at one point to animals to one sort of fossil fuel or another. It's been apparent for the last few years that this fuel source is soon going to change, and the vehicles of the future are going to be electric. Now, however, unlike many others, I would argue that this is no longer, electric vehicles are no longer a thesis that need defense on either grounds of environmental concerns or fossil fuel depletion. In fact, electric vehicles are an inevitable future now. Electric vehicles have fundamentally a very efficient drivetrain, far efficient ride quality, and a ridiculously easy maintenance. However, it's only in the last few years that a lot of technology changes have come together for electric vehicles to start making sense, not just as an engineering exercise, but as a very sensible product. These have been changes in things like cells, battery pack, and even the electronics that go in as part of the drivetrain. Whether it is charging time or battery life, charging points or driving range, vehicle power or performance, electric vehicles and fundamentally the overall EV ecosystem has been improving globally. In fact, if you look at it, the way IC engine technology is maturing and plateauing out, the only way to add more powers to vehicles in the future, especially performance vehicles, is going to be electric. That's why we feel so confident when we say that electric vehicles are the future. Now, while vehicles going electric is probably one of the biggest changes that is going to happen to our vehicles, one of the more exciting user changes for us as drivers are centered around a slightly different theme: connectivity. If we step back and look at products in general, a clear trend emerges. For the last few decades, products have been moving from being open loop systems to being closed loop systems. These closed loop systems do three essential steps. They look, restore, and collect data. They look at this data and build in relevant sort of controls for the end user. And then based on the application of these controls, they try and build in some amount of intelligence. They try and take decisions themselves and cut down the need for human intervention. That's the reason why many products around us are becoming smarter and intelligent today. While this is a trend that's cuts across all industries, somehow automobiles have been slower to respond to it. Globally, there are a few companies that have done step one, which is data collection. That's the step when we have thrown out a lot of sensors all around the vehicle, and we have been trying to collect data about vehicle, about drivers, trying to understand their patterns. A few companies have done step two also, which is controls. This is the reason why automobile manufacturers have given us ridiculously complicated dashboards with a mind-boggling array of features, which make no sense to 99% of us. I think in the future, better designers are going to take most of these features out and throw them all away for a simpler mode. A mode which looks at how you ride, has the relevant controls built in, and then eventually has the intelligence to optimize itself and limit the need for human interaction. That to us is the next big evolution for vehicles, intelligent vehicles. Now at Ather, these two themes are themes that we very, very strongly believe in. Since we started in 2000, we've had no legacy investments in IC engines, no experience in emission norms, or fuel injection, or fuel storage, or even a petrol-based brand. That sort of counterintuitively makes somebody like us best suited for a drivetrain that barely needs any of the above. Starting in 2013, we've been working very hard to put it all together. And our first product, the S340, Ather S340, is a personification of many of those ideas. And after 3 years of very passionate work, today I'm very proud to unveil the S340 here today.
The moment in history when man discovered the wheel, everything changed. Distances dissolved, the world became smaller and connected. The wheel kept moving year after year, becoming smoother, safer, and faster. But in this race, somehow the wheel missed something that would change its future forever. Being connected and being smart. A future that's not just about riding experiences, but about life experiences. From data-driven intelligence to intuitive interactions, the possibilities are endless. The future is exciting, and we have just the vehicle to take us there. The Ather S340.
Thanks a lot. Now, when we started building this, we had, let's keep that slide, that's better. When we started building this, we had no benchmarks in the industry to look at. And so we had to just go out and start building all these subsystems on our own. A thing that led to a heavily vertically integrated product. This philosophy of vertical integration has sort of stayed true to our, has become sort of central to our design philosophy today, and is one of the biggest things that differentiates us from a standard OEM out in the market. Everything that's gone on this vehicle has been designed in-house, and whether it's a dashboard or the battery pack or the charger or the battery management system or the styling, suspension, down to the side stand, that beautiful looking side stand, everything's been designed in-house at Ather. Yeah. Now, what this vertical integration allows us is, it gives us a lot of advantages in things like weight of components, overall system weight, integration, packaging, number of components comes down drastically, and it gives us very tight control. Tight control, which gives us a very beautiful, very clean looking platform like this. So the S340 is our attempt at creating new benchmarks in this industry, and that's sort of reflected in the sort of specs that we have built in, which are not 10, 20, or 30% better than the vehicles of today, but they're almost an order of magnitude improvement. Whether it's a 1 hour charging time, or a 10 times longer battery life, or almost an order of magnitude more power, or 3 times higher top speed, the S340 is designed to deliver a great vehicle experience. However, that's not all of it. There's a lot of technology that goes inside this vehicle. Technology about cells, about battery packs. The dashboard that we see here has been, again, the hardware and the software of it has all been designed in-house. Yeah. Now, moving ahead, the beautifully designed hardware of S340 is complemented with an completely rethought, redefined driver interface, the dashboard. 7-inch touchscreen replaces the old dials of old. While two-wheeler dashboards have evolved quite a lot over the last few years, they haven't really changed. At its heart, they remain still simple dials, analog dials in an increasingly digital world. A lot of what we wanted to do with the S340 required a far more adroit interface. Things like onboard navigation, multiple riding modes, personalized profiles, vehicle tracking, and over-the-air updates. A lot of this is based on the belief in the power of data and intelligence. Let me just take 2 quick examples to explain how intelligent vehicles and a dashboard like this is going to be of quite a lot of use to actual commuting. Today, the way repair works is that it depends too heavily on us as drivers noticing a symptom of a problem, and then relies on our fine judgment to bring the vehicle back for servicing, which almost never happens. That's the reason why servicing is a pretty messy system today. The vision with intelligent vehicles is that in the future, the need for servicing should drastically come down, and we should have a future of truly predictive maintenance. So for example, this is how the dashboard, the diagnosis dashboard in your S340 will look like. A very simple and clean way to find out what's working and what's not working well. In this case, for example, we can see that the drivetrain seems to be malfunctioning. Let's understand why. The S340 has motor current data being logged at a very high frequency, which allows us to build and maintain a signature frequency response of many components, the benchmark graph. This, on the other hand, is a diagnosis from a slightly malfunctioning vehicle, where we can see two components associated with the motor requiring slightly higher currents at very different frequencies. Now, what all of this means is that not only the S340 can tell you which components are off during operation, in this case, two specific bearings associated with the rear wheel, it can also tell you, based on how bad that graph is, that how many more kilometers will the vehicle run before it absolutely needs to come back for servicing. Another very strong use case is navigation. Obviously, this sort of a dashboard, this sort of touchscreen, with this sort of stuff, the S340 comes with inbuilt navigation, maps. So as to ensure that you don't need to basically stop and take your mobile out at every junction to find the next stop. However, what we are trying to do is to move beyond plain vanilla mapping. All the subsystems on the vehicle speak to each other via the vehicle control unit, which is this dashboard. And all this data gets aggregated to a central cloud server. Thus, the advantage that we get out of this is very contextual data about your riding patterns. Data about how you ride, how you brake, how you accelerate, your mileage, your efficiency, all of this. Very specific insights. Data like this can allow us to not only tell you the most, the fastest or the quickest way to get there, but it can also allow us to tell you the most efficient way to get there based on your riding pattern, or in future things like the most comfortable route based again on your riding pattern. But this is not where we'll stop. Adding layers to it, we'll keep integrating data from third-party partners, and in the future we can be talking about stuff like the nearest charging point, the nearest available charging point, data about pollution, street lamps, road quality. The sheer amount of stuff that you can do with data visualization in a vehicle like this is possibly endless. Finally, while, as I said in the past, we believe in a very vertically integrated platform, and that sort of philosophy also spills over to everything that we do. In this case, we want to very carefully curate customer experiences and not leave them on on parameters that we do not control. For example, our sales channel is going to be purely online and is going to be via our website. So we will not be working with independent vendors, or rather independent distributors to begin with. Secondly, our post-sales service will be done, instead of via call centers, it will be done by relationship managers. This will allow us to maintain a consistent user experience throughout his ownership, and will also sort of maintain that human touch in his entire experience. Thirdly, for an offline experience, we are going to be building Ather experience centers, physical experience centers in every city that we launch in. These are places where the technology and the brand come alive via technology-based immersive experiences. What you see here is a snapshot of the first experience center that will come up in Bangalore in the next 3 months. So to wrap it up, these are but just the first steps in bringing S340 alive and bringing them to you. Over the next few months, especially as the experience centers come up, many of you will be able to test ride the vehicle, and I guess we look forward to welcoming you all there. Thank you.